History remembers her as a beauty, but beauty was never her greatest weapon. This is the story of Cleopatra VII, the last queen of ancient Egypt, a master of politics, and a woman who stood face to face with the greatest empire the world had ever known. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek royal family ruling Egypt for nearly 300 years. From childhood, she was trained not just to rule, but to survive. She studied philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, and, most importantly, languages. Cleopatra spoke 9 languages, including Egyptian. She was the first of her dynasty to truly speak to her people. This alone made her different. When Cleopatra became co-ruler at just 18, Egypt was weak. Rome controlled the Mediterranean. Internal betrayals were common. Power shifted daily. Soon, Cleopatra was betrayed by her own brother, Ptolemy XIII. She was forced into exile, a queen without a throne, a ruler without an army. But Cleopatra did not surrender. She planned. In 48 BC, Cleopatra made one of the boldest moves in history. She secretly entered Alexandria and had herself smuggled into Julius Caesar's palace, hidden inside a rolled carpet. When the carpet unfurled, Cleopatra stood before the most powerful man in Rome, not as a beggar, but as a queen. Caesar was impressed by her intelligence, her confidence, and her political vision. Together, they reclaimed her throne. Cleopatra ruled Egypt with precision. She stabilized the economy, secured grain supplies, strengthened trade. She was not Rome's puppet, she was Rome's partner. With Caesar, she had a son, Caesarion, whom she believed would unite Egypt and Rome. But fate intervened. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated. Cleopatra fled Rome immediately. Once again, she stood alone against a rising empire. Rome was now ruled by 3 men, and among them was Mark Antony. Their meeting was legendary. Cleopatra arrived on a golden barge dressed as the goddess Isis, commanding attention before she even spoke. Antony was captivated. But this was not just romance, it was strategy. Together, they formed a political and military alliance against Rome's future ruler, Octavian. Cleopatra and Antony had children, shared power, and dreamed of a new empire. But Rome was watching. Octavian declared Cleopatra an enemy of Rome. He painted her as dangerous, seductive, and manipulative. In 31 BC, their forces clashed at the Battle of Actium. It was a disaster. Antony's fleet collapsed. Cleopatra retreated to Egypt. Rome was closing in. Believing Cleopatra was dead, Mark Antony took his own life. When Cleopatra learned the truth, she knew her fate was sealed. Octavian planned to parade her through Rome as a prisoner. Cleopatra refused. She chose her ending. In 30 BC, the last queen of Egypt died, most likely by poison. She was 39 years old. With Cleopatra's death, Egypt became a Roman province. The age of pharaohs ended forever. But Cleopatra's legacy survived. She was not merely a lover, not just a queen. She was a strategist, a scholar, a ruler who stood against Rome and refused to bow. Cleopatra did not lose because she was weak. She lost because she dared to challenge the most powerful empire on earth. And that is why, 2,000 years later, the world still speaks her name.